with local author and prince from Nigeria, Dr.Asagba. And here for a return visit with me is Dr.Asagba, who is of a royal family in Africa. Welcome back. From Nigeria in particular.
Yes.
You are. And what town in Nigeria? I guess we bring it down a little smaller, Joseph.
Okay, I'm from Okwe Kingdom.
Okwe Kingdom.
Yes.
Okay, all right, in Nigeria.
Yes.
So your family at that time had slaves.
Yes.
Okay, tell us a little bit about why.
Well, let me first of all say that the slave trade began in West African coast in 1441.
Yes, in the 1400s.
When the Portuguese first came to West Africa to seek for slaves. And from that time until late 1870s, the slave trade continued.
Okay.
And the African kings and chiefs were selling millions of their own people into slavery.
Also, some of them were being stolen.
Yes, some of them were kidnapped from their villages and from their interior towns and villages in Africa.
Okay.
And this went on for a very long time. And finally, the British passed the law that slavery must end.
Now, those kings who were actually selling slaves, were these people that they already held as slaves, or were these free people that they would capture and sell, and why?
Some of them they already have, and some of them were captured during civil war within tribe.
Yes. Okay, civil war between tribes, and
yes.
So if one tribe captured members of the other tribe, they might then sell those as slaves.
That is very correct.
Okay, all right. And why were they doing this?
When the Europeans came and they were able to ask the African kings and chiefs to sell their own people for very minor items like a hat, walking sticks, and salt, things of that.
Yes.
Of that sort. They were selling their own people for those things that African people did not have at that time.
Okay.
So the African kings and chiefs were selling their own people for that. Yes.
Oh, I'm not sure which is worse, to just kind of give them away, or to actually exchange a human being for some minor thing.
Yes, that is true. But at the same time, because slavery had already existed in Africa, yes, before the Portuguese even came,
okay,
and majority of the slaves in Africa were treated well. They were even considered as part of the family.
Okay.
So when the African kings and chiefs were selling their own people, they did not realize that those people would be treated badly.
I see,
yes.
I see. Okay, they assumed what was basically a servant class,
yes,
in Africa,
yes,
except an unpaid servant class, and you had to do it. You had to be here.
Yes.
And that's what they were envisioning would happen with these same people elsewhere.
That is correct.
But that was not true.
That wasn't true, because if you look at the history of the slave trade in slavery in the United States, for example, you see that the slaves were treated very badly.
Yes.
They were beaten.
Yes.
They were raped, and they were sold away from their own family.
Yes.
But in Africa, the slaves were treated well, and they were considered as part of the family, and there was no bad treatment between the slave masters and the slaves. And
they kept families together.
Of course.
They didn't sell off the children.
No.
Or that sort of thing.
No.
When slavery was outlawed, of course, the slave trade was outlawed. That didn't end the slavery. How did slavery then come to end in Africa?
Well, slavery in Africa, in Nigeria particularly, ended in the 1920s.
Okay. People had to have at least land. They had to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
yes.
So I guess that some of those freed slaves perhaps then acquired land somehow or other.
If they can afford to buy one, but it's very difficult. In most cases, the slave owner will cut a portion of their own land for those slaves' family to have their own farm.
Okay.
I discussed that in my book, how Chief Asagba gave a portion of his land to some of his slaves so that they could have food. And
you mentioned your book, and I
yes.
have a copy here. I should
Yes.
mention again. That's The Untold Story of a Nigerian Royal Family.
The Urobo ruling clan.
The Urobo ruling clan of Okpe Kingdom.
Yes.
And this is written by Joseph O. Asagba, or I should say Dr. Joseph O. Asagba.
Yes.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here again, Joseph, and it's wonderful to get to see slavery is an ugly thing.
It is.
No matter where it was.
Yes.
But it's interesting to get to see the difference and to understand how slaves were treated in Europe and in Africa in particular.
Yes.
And when that finally ended, and that it's good to know that it didn't include that awful separation that is so damaging.
Yes.
And continues to be here in America.
That is true.
All right. Thank you so very much for being with us again, talking about your book.
It's good to be here.
And stay with us. We'll be right back. As the old saying goes, there are two